Not who built the pyramids.
It's like, it's not who you think. You get there. All right, who did this? Time traveling Ronald Reagan.
No, I swear to God, it was the Lizzie Borden was sitting in her freaking living room. The fucking vortex opened up. Out walks fucking Ronald Reagan. Fucking laser
with
gun.
the hatchet of justice.
With the fucking hatchet and just like unwinds.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of Shadows and Sightings, a paranormal comedy podcast where we talk about all things spooky. I'm Taylor.
I'm Nick.
We're back at you this week.
Adult life.
Adult life.
It's fun, but it sucks.
Yeah. It's like you can go and like buy a $70 worth of Taco Bell and eat all of it in one sitting because you're an adult. Like, nobody's going to stop you.
It was funny, actually, talking about, remember when we were like kids, like 15 years ago, and had no money. And we wanted everything.
Yeah.
And now it's like you have all this money and you could like buy potentially what you want. But then it's like, but I can't justify buying,
It's like, yeah.
It's like I could go out and buy a new car and, pay like, a ridiculous car payment on it, but
hi, it's me. I do that.
I can't justify it.
I'm almost at the end of it though, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's fun being an adult, but other times, I mean, it's two sides of a coin. It sucks on the other side.
It does.
Oh yeah, I got money. I can go buy things. Oh, smack bill, smack house repair, smack car repair, smack groceries, smack insurance.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you want this new gaming system that's about to come out?
Yeah, so you're interested in buying this new game. That's $70. You prepared to spend $70 when you know you've got a water bill coming up?
That's also $70.
So what's it going to be, Nick? New game? Oblivion remastered?
We're not going to bathe for a week.
Explain to your wife why she can't take a shower.
Yeah, it's not fun.
With that being said, I'm going to go buy $70 worth of Taco Bell after this recording.
Are you? That's a very specific dollar amount of Taco Bell.
It is.
It's like $1 a taco.
Taco Bell tacos got expensive though.
Did they?
Like a little bit. Remember back in the day, like early 2000s, speaking of being kids, like you could go to Taco Bell. You remember the $5 meal deal? Yeah. And you got like a Crunchwrap Supreme, 2 tacos, the cinnamon twist, and a drink for $5.
Oh yeah. What a time to be alive.
Now that easily will cost you like 20.
I think it's so funny seeing old advertisements from like Taco Bell, early 2000s.
Come get a taco for 49 cents.
Yeah, or the basically like the quesarito before it was the quesarito was like 89 cents for like a beefy double layer burrito.
We didn't know how good we had it.
Man.
Now look at us. $5 a burrito.
It's anarchy.
Do better, Taco Bell. I still love you. We are going to be talking about one of the most popular unsolved murders maybe in American history. It's certainly like one of the more flashy ones. It's a sexy one. There's nothing sexy about what happened, but it's a sexy, you say it and it's like, oh yeah, I know that.
It captivated the American public in a way. I feel like it was the equivalent of the O.J. Simpson trial.
I was thinking the same exact thing, the O.J. Simpson trial.
O.J. Simpson trial, like back in the day.
Yeah. And we're talking about none other than the Lizzie Borden murders. It's assumed that she murdered her family. It's also never been truly proven that she murdered her mother and father. So today we're going to take a little bit of a look into one of the most iconic haunted locations that was on my draft list a couple episodes ago. And we're just going to kind of break this thing down a little bit and see if we can't uncover some truths about the Lizzie Borden murders. Are you ready, Nick?
I'm excited.
I guess what we should start with is, before we've started looking into this, what did you know about the Lizzie Borden house, if anything?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So the first time I ran into the Lizzie Borden murders, it was from those two gentlemen, the two guys on BuzzFeed.
Okay.
Where, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Sean and I think it's Sean. Basically just watching an episode and understanding that like, oh shit, some shit went down at this house back in the day. And it's my understanding that she was the daughter of a wealthy like real estate mogul up in was it Falls River, Massachusetts?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was early one morning or whatever where the father had left at like 9 a.m. and the murders supposedly happened between 9 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. Mm-hmm. His wife at the time, which would have been Lizzie's stepmom, Abby, was the first one to get murdered up on the second floor. A bunch of hatchet wax to her face. What was it, like 17 times or something like that?
I believe it was 13.
13 on her, and then the dad comes back. No sign of like forced entry. So I'm assuming he had no idea that Abby was like upstairs, like dead, you know, murdered or whatever. He falls asleep on the couch, and then of course he ends up getting murdered with, you know, 11 hatchet strikes to his face. And you can see like, the pictures of it if you look it up.
Sorry, you were right. Allegedly, Abby was hit 19 times and Andrew was hit 11 times.
Yeah. Okay. So and from what I understand, of course, I'm not sure, and I'm sure we'll get into it. But Lizzie, of course, is like the prime suspect. Mm-hmm. A lot of like family tension, a lot of family drama. You know, like I said, they're a very wealthy family, so he probably had a lot of targets. But ultimately, though, Lizzie's the one that kind of gets pinned on, and then, you know, the whole trial and everything, and she ends up getting acquitted. Yeah. Which is like wild. Yeah. That was really the only exposure, and she said it's like haunted.
You're like, that's the only exposure I had, so pretty much the whole thing. Oh, yeah. Pretty much top to bottom. I know everything about it before we came into this.
On a surface level, that is what I know.
I didn't even know, so truthfully, before I knew anything about it a couple of years ago, I thought the Lizzie Borden House was in Salem. I don't know why. Yeah. I don't know why I thought that, but I guess this just seems like the kind of place or a kind of thing that would happen in Salem for some reason. I don't know, but I guess it's not too far away.
For some reason, I was thinking it was like in Chicago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh. I don't know why. That was prior
Interesting. Interesting that we were so close and yet so far.
I think the reason why I associate it with Chicago isn't that H.H. Holmes, which we should totally do an episode on eventually, but I think that's where that took place, the murder house, like the hotel that he was running. Okay. I want to say it was in Chicago. Could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, listeners out there, but I think it was in Chicago. That's why.
Until we do an episode on it, then you can quote him all you want to.
You're a freaking idiot.
You're a phony.
Big fat phony.
So Lizzie was born on July 19th, 1860 in Fall Rivers, Massachusetts to Sarah Borden and Andrew Borden. Her father was of English and Welsh descent, and he grew up in very modest surroundings and struggled financially as a young man. However, as he came to America, or I guess as his family traveled here, I don't know, it doesn't really say that he was an immigrant or if he
was born here.
Yeah. He actually prospered in manufacture and sale of furniture caskets. So he was actually an undertaker, and he made caskets before Lizzie was born. And that's how he kind of became a prominent figure in Falls River. And I heard
a lot of people dying back then.
It's a business that still goes on today. Just crazy. If you have the mental capacity or will to deal with death all the time, being an undertaker's got to be a great job, because you're never going to go out of business.
You're not. Always have a job, and then some of the prices that you see on the caskets that they charge like $10,000 for just like a basic casket. Yeah, ridiculous.
So I heard that allegedly Andrew would cut the feet off of dead people to fit them into smaller caskets so that he could save money on like raw materials, and he was known as a very frugal gentleman.
It's fucking skimping, like it's like the equivalent of like a bootlegger back in the day. All right, how are we gonna make this work? Okay, how about we brew alcohol and we open up a pharmacy and we'll put in these little bottles labeled medicine.
There we go.
Well, what do you do? Oh, I'm a mortician. Oh, I'm an undertaker. What I do is I cut feet off.
What the fuck?
And I build smaller caskets.
Just cuts down on my lumber costs.
Yep, cuts down on my lumber costs. What do you do with the feet? I turn it into compost and I sell it to the local garden.
Use it as fertilizer to fertilize my crops, and then my crops grow, and then I sell those.
It's a never-ending cycle.
It's actually a really great method. I suggest it if you can deal with cutting off feet. So he became a successful property developer, so he was into undertaking and all that stuff, and then became a real estate agent, essentially. He was director of several textile mills and owned considerable commercial property. He was also president of the Union Savings Bank and a director of the Durfee Safe Deposit and Trust Company. At the time of his murder, his estate was valued at $300,000, which in 2024's estimates, I don't know what 2025, but it's same thing, $10 million. So this dude was strapped up. This dude was on that bank roll, literally, because the bank was paying him because he was director of the bank.
Yep.
So despite his wealth, Andrew, like I was saying, was known for his frugality. So the Borden residence actually didn't have indoor plumbing, even though it was a common feature for the wealthy at the time.
I saw that. I thought that was pretty interesting. I don't know if that's a really boss move to show like you're dedicated to your goals,
or just being a dick. Just being a dick.
Yeah, you're just gross.
I think he's just being a dick. I think he's just fucked up.
Was he? Did it say he was he like super religious?
I don't think so.
Because I feel like in that time frame, extreme frugality like that. Like I think of
like a Puritan. God damn the fucking Puritans!
They returned. It's like you used to
like
work
you
at a
don't.
bank,
Yeah,
and you had Amish, customers that would come in. Didn't you say their bank accounts were like, getting like loaded or whatever?
Yeah, but I mean that was
because they're pretty frugal, aren't they? They don't.
Well, they're frugal, but I mean they also make a lot of money. Like they don't tell you that part of Amish people. They make a lot of fucking money because
they charge out the ass for like some of the
services.
Because
you know what you're going to get with the Amish people.
Yeah, you're going to get quality. So
goddamn good work. And it's going to go up. They're going to fucking raise that barn, and it's going to be done in a week, as opposed to paying a contractor who's going to take 4 months. But yeah, they would used to bring in huge checks, but they would they would spend it again, but it would be on for like their business. So yeah, I mean, you're right. They're frugal to a degree because like, I guess in their practice, God will provide. Like essentially, like don't spend outside of your means. Like you don't need all the stuff because that's a sin, I think, right?
I don't know if it's so much a sin, and maybe in some
like gluttony,
I guess greed.
Yeah.
But you know what? There probably is a benefit to obviously, spending less than what you earn or whatever. But just like adopting that.
I'm not good at that.
But adopting that mindset, I bet you see like crazy. Like if you just tried it for a year. I bet you the benefits would be through the roof.
You could actually probably have a savings account with, at least a couple thousand saved up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just being frugal in everyday life.
Yep.
Oh, we don't need to spend this extra like you. Why are you going to get the Heinz mustard for $2.69 when you can get the dollar store mustard for 99 cents? It's the same mustard.
Was that like your iconic moment of
that opened my opened my chakra. Opened the dad chakra.
We're in adulthood now.
Yeah.
It's so true though. It's like it just irked. Like, why are you getting the name brand one? It's the same damn thing.
Yeah, it's true. I think we've talked about it before. There are certain things you don't get the marketplace version, the cheap brand.
Toilet paper.
Yeah, toilet paper is the big one. So the house was in a affluent area, but the wealthiest residents of Falls River, including Andrew's cousins, generally lived in the more fashionable neighborhood, The Hill, which was further from the industrial areas of the city. Lizzie and her older sister, Emma, had a relatively religious upbringing, so there you go. That answers that question a little bit, and attended Central Congregational Church. As a young woman, Lizzie was very involved in church activities, including teaching Sunday school to children of recent immigrants, too. So she was teaching Sunday school to children of recent immigrants to the United States. She was involved in religious organizations such as the Christian Endeavor Society, for which she served as secretary-treasurer, and contemporary social movements such as the Women's Christian Temperance Union. She was also a member of the Ladies' Fruit and Flower Mission. So she was a big-time charity philanthropist, churchgoer.
Good on her.
The perfect suspect for a brutal murder.
Oh, yeah. It was her. She knew what she was doing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. 3 years after the death of Lizzie's mother, Andrew married Abby Durfee Gray. Lizzie later stated that she called her stepmother Mrs. Borden and demurred on whether they had a cordial relationship. She believed that Abby had married her father for his wealth. Bridget, the Borden's 25-year-old live-in maid, who had come from the U.S. from Ireland, testified that Lizzie and Emma rarely ate meals with their parents. And
That's weird. That's sus. I don't like that.
Sus?
I don't like that.
Not vibing with that family setting.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
You two go eat in there. We're gonna eat in here.
I heard that she had called her mother up until a certain point, and then she stopped calling her mother and just started referring to her as Mrs. Borden. So I don't know when that switch flipped, or if that was just an added dramatic effect to the story. Because who knows?
You think there was some drama there?
I think something had happened.
Yeah.
I think we might get into this a little bit. There was a lot of tension between them. Like she said that she thought that her new stepmom had bought or married into the family for money.
For the wealth, yeah.
But I feel like she was also kind of an abusive stepmother. Like, think Cinderella-esque. I could see that. Like, made Lizzie and her sister Emma do all the chores all the time.
And she kind of just reaps all the benefits.
Yeah. She got to sit around and live a life of leisure while Emma and Lizzie were out breaking their backs doing housework.
I think there might have been some favoritism too. I thought I saw something along the lines of Abby's daughter was given a home or something, and the actual daughters of Andrew, Lizzie and her sister were pissed and be like, "Hey, what the fuck? We want a home. You're giving this.
Yeah,
she's not even your actual daughter, and you're giving her a home before you're even giving us one.
But before you're even giving us living or indoor plumbing.
Yeah, right.
At that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's like you're giving this person a crate, a condo.
Yeah,
and you're making us live in a pigsty. So the relationship between all of the Bordens was pretty strained. Apparently, in May of 1892, Andrew had killed multiple pigeons in his barn with a hatchet, believing they were attracting the local children to hunt them. And this is pertinent to the story because Lizzie had recently built a roost for the pigeons. It was commonly recounted that she was so upset over his killing of them that there was a big argument over this, and it prompted both sisters to take extended vacations in New Bedford. After returning to Fall River a week before the murders, Lizzie chose to stay in a local rooming house for 4 days before returning to the Borden residence. So things were not chipper and cheery at the Borden home. You had Andrew Borden, the frugal old Scrooge, walking around town, probably saying bah humbug at everybody. And then you got the life of leisure, Abby Borden, just hanging out, reaping all the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And you got poor Lizzie and Emma just
trying to get by.
Take
care of their pigeons.
As you were saying, tension was growing with the Borden family, also due to Andrew's gifts of real estate to various branches of Abby's family. After their stepmother's sister received a house, the sisters demanded and received a rental property, the house they had lived in until their mother died, which they purchased from their father for $1. Sounds pretty fair to me.
You know what's crazy is that he probably gave the home to the stepdaughter for free. He was like, "Yeah, I'll sell it to you, but it's going to cost you $1."
Come on, what the fuck, Dad?
That's some petty ass shit. We can make it $2 if you'd like.
Well, apparently they did pretty good on this deal because a few weeks before the murders, they sold the property back to Andrew for $5,000.
I saw that and I kind of questioned that. How does that work? It was already his property, and he sold it for $1.
Maybe he just really wanted to have that property back, and they were like, "Well, give us $5,000 for it." He's like, "Are you serious?"
Okay. How much? I wonder what the equivalent of that
$170,000.
Yeah. Okay.
The night before the murders, John Vincicum Morse, Lizzie and Emma's maternal uncle, visited and was invited to stay for a few days to discuss business matters with Andrew, leading to speculation that their conversation, particularly about property transfer, may have aggravated an already tense situation. For several days, the entire household had been violently ill. A family friend later speculated that mutton left on the stove to use in meals over several days was the cause. Abby had feared poison, given that Andrew had not been a popular man in Falls River.
Pretty ballsy.
Yeah, I think so. Just to be like, "Oh, somebody fucking poisoned us." Or it's because you left the fucking meat out on the stove for 3 days when you never cooked it.
It's kind of like the perfect story cover story almost. There's a lot of factors that come into play where Lizzie, let's assume that she actually did murder the family.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things at play where she could easily like play off of for her benefit from the time frame. Like, oh, somebody was poisoned. No, you left the fucking meat out for 3 days.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Hey, we found this hatchet in the barn. Yeah, because the dad was murdering pigeons.
Yeah, and everybody has a fucking hatchet back then because everybody's chopping wood for firewood.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. Oh, what's this bloody hatchet doing out here? Look at all the dead birds.
Yep. That'll do it.
All right, so that brings us to Thursday, August 4th, 1892. Nick, do you want to take over for what happens on that faithful day?
Brings us to Thursday, August 4th, 1892, a date that is solidified in the Lizzie Borden mythos. Morse arrived in the evening of August 3rd and slept in the guest's room that night. After breakfast the next morning, at which Andrew, Abby, Morse, and Sullivan were present, Andrew and Morse went into the sitting room. Back when you knew you had sitting rooms.
Oh, yeah. No standing allowed.
Yeah. Points to the sign.
Can't you read the sign? No, it's 1800. I can't read.
Can't read. Where they chatted for nearly an hour. Morse slept around 8:48 a.m. to buy a pair of oxen and visit his niece in Fall River. Yeah, I chuckled at that too. What are you doing today?
I think we're going to go down to the store. I need to get a couple new oxen.
Yeah.
All right.
But back then that was probably like...
That's like going to buy a new set of tires at Walmart.
Going to Lowe's to get like a lawnmower. Yeah, so he goes to buy a pair of oxen and he visits his niece who also lived in Fall River. And his plan was to return to the Borden home at lunch, for lunch around noon. Andrew left for his morning walk sometime after 9 a.m. Although the cleaning of the guest room was one of Lizzie and Emma's regular chores, Abby went upstairs sometime between 9 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. to make the bed. According to the forensic investigation, Abby was facing her killer at the time of the attack. She was struck on the side of the head with a hatchet, which cut her just above the ear, causing her to turn and fall face down on the floor, creating contusions on her nose and forehead. Her killer then struck her multiple times, delivering 17 more direct hits to the back of her head, killing her.
When one time won't just do it.
Oh, yeah, no, you gotta make sure they're dead. You don't want zombies or shit coming back.
Yeah. 18 times is a lot of times. Or a total of 19 times. That's a lot of swings.
Yeah. That was either a professional, making sure the job was done.
Yeah.
That was...
I feel like that's... you can throw that... A professional would have got it done on the first swing.
Probably would have been cleaner.
It would have been a straight decapitation.
Yeah, that probably would have been cleaner. But you're right. Probably would have been cleaner. Probably would have been... There'd be no, yeah.
This is allegedly a crime of passion.
Oh, yeah.
This had malicious intent behind it.
There was some hate. There was some in that one.
Some wrongdoing.
When Andrew returned at around 10:30 a.m., his key failed to open the door, so he knocked. Sullivan went to unlock the door, finding it jammed, and she uttered a curse. She would later...
I bet that didn't go over well.
Oh, no. She would later testify that from at the top of the stairs, she heard Lizzie laughing immediately after this. She did not see Lizzie, but stated that the laughter was coming from the top of the stairs. This was considered significant as Abby was already dead by this time, and her body would have been visible to anyone on the home's second floor. Lizzie later denied being upstairs and testified that her father had asked her where Abby was, to which she replied that a messenger had delivered Abby a summons to visit a sick friend. Sullivan stated that she had then removed Andrew's boots and helped him into his slippers before he laid down on the sofa for a nap, a detail contradicted by the crime scene photos, which show Andrew wearing boots. She testified that she was in her third floor room, resting from cleaning windows, when just before 11:10 a.m. she heard Lizzie call from downstairs, "Maggie, come quick, father's dead. Somebody came in and killed him." Andrew was then found slumped on the couch in the downstairs sitting room, struck 10 or 11 times with a hatchet-like weapon. One of his eyes had been split cleanly in two, suggesting that he had been asleep when the attack occurred. His still bleeding wounds suggested a very recent attack. Dr. Bowen, the family's physician, arrived from his home across the street and pronounced both the victims dead. Detectives estimated that Andrew's death had occurred at approximately 11 a.m.
I don't mean to laugh. But imagine having to get the doctor. Hey, can you? Yep, they're dead. Like
I was just thinking
blood
that.
and viscera. And
there might be a slight chance.
You want my professional opinion? I'm not. I mean, I'm a doctor, but just medical advice.
There's a slight.
There's 100% chance they're dead.
Are you sure? Maybe like a 0.0001 chance that they're alive, but
there's one way to find this out. Andrew. He's dead.
He's super dead.
Way dead. So let's get some thoughts brewing here on this whole situation. Oh. So allegedly, Lizzie is at the top of the stairs butchering her stepmother with an axe. Oh. And then the maid answers the door for Andrew to come in. Says that she gets him out of his boots, but doesn't. Anything there, you think? Anything that... Or do you think she just was misremembering a very tense situation?
Could have been shock.
Yeah.
Honestly. Mm-hmm. She probably... I'm a firm believer, and I don't know if we're going to talk about this like near the end of the episode, but I'm a firm believer that I think Lizzie did do it. And I think
spoiler alert.
I mean, yeah, no, I think, yeah, we'll talk. I think she had something to do with it, but I think Sullivan was in on it in some way.
Okay.
Yeah. Because unless they contracted,
because why would you see somebody at the top of the stairs and not be like, hey, what? Like, allegedly she could see. Well, she said she couldn't.
Well, she said she heard her laughing,
right?
But she said she didn't see her.
I heard a report that she said she did see. And that's why she tried to get the door open faster. She tried to get the door open faster, and then Andrew came in.
She saw her like maybe like at the top of the stairs, like a hatchet or something like that.
Well, she thought that she's seen Lizzie standing at the top of the stairs with the hatchet, but not like by her side.
Gotcha.
And I would assume she would have been in a blood-covered dress at that point.
Maybe.
And I don't know why she wouldn't have been like, "Hey, what are you doing?
Your daughter's like,
what's happening?"
Yeah, exactly.
And then exactly. When Andrew comes in, like, "Hey, Lizzie's upstairs. I haven't seen Mrs. Borden in a while. I don't know what's going on."
But then,
but just to be like ushering him in and then be like, "Okay, here's your slippers and your pipe. Go take a nap."
Well, but also true. There's the report of Abby or of Lizzie and Andrew having a conversation where he asks, "Hey, where's Abby?"
Yeah, and
Lizzie is like, "Oh, she was summoned by a messenger to go see a sick friend."
Yeah,
so maybe she wouldn't have been like covered in like blood or anything like that because maybe she changed prior to him getting there.
Spoiler.
Maybe.
Spoiler coming up.
I don't know. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just in the investigation.
I was there. I was there.
I mean, I know the answers.
Because I was there.
Yeah, I think that's interesting that she claimed that she helped him inside and changed him into his slippers, and then because they have pictures of the crime scene.
Yeah, you can see the
crime scene is fucking brutal.
Awful.
Brutal as fuck.
Awful.
But is clearly still wearing his nice boots with his head split in two, pretty much. So yeah, interesting that she would try to get him away from that situation and then lie about what happened. But I digress. So the police show up, and obviously the investigation begins on what could have happened. Lizzie's initial answers to the police officer's questions were at times strange and contradictory. Initially, she reported hearing a groan or a scraping noise or a distress call before entering the house. 2 hours later, she told police she had heard nothing and entered the house not realizing that anything was wrong. When asked where her stepmother was, she recounted Abby received a note asking her to visit a sick friend. She also stated that she thought Abby had returned and asked if someone could go upstairs and look for her. Sullivan and a neighbor, Miss Churchill, were halfway up the stairs, their eyes level with the floor, when they looked into the guest room and saw Abby lying face down on the floor. Most of the officers who interviewed Lizzie reported that they disliked her attitude. Okay. Some said she was too calm and too poised. Despite her behavior and changing alibis, she was not checked for bloodstains. Police did search her room, but it was a cursory inspection. At the trial, they admitted to not doing a proper search because Lizzie was not feeling well. They were subsequently criticized for their lack of diligence.
She had somebody else.
So now here we go. Okay, here's the thing. You follow me on the pin dots here. Now the police department's involved. Yeah. They're in on this cover-up.
Oh yeah, sure. They know something. Somebody's on a payroll somewhere. Somebody's getting bankrolled.
Here's what I think. I'm putting on my tinfoil hat.
All right.
Andrew Borden is not well liked by anybody.
Fuck no. I agree with that.
But he's rich as fuck.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that as well.
Lizzie hates him.
Mm-hmm.
Emma hates him.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the maid Sullivan hates him.
Oh, yeah.
Abby might even hate him. Who knows? She cuts a deal with Sullivan, the maid, and the first initial people that she knows are going to come to. She goes to the police station, says, "Hey, I got a proposition for you. Here's my, She pays the police officers off.
That's that $5,000 she got from that dollar
5
sale.
G's, bruh. So she pays them off to come investigate, quote unquote, I'm air quoting here, the crime scene.
Yeah.
And they don't find anything.
Not a damn thing.
So I'm thinking that they're all involved.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
There's a multi-tier cover-up. So, anyways. In the basement, police found 2 hatchets, 2 axes, and a hatchet head with a broken handle. The hatchet head was suspected of being the murder weapon, as the break-in, the handle appeared fresh, and the ash and dust on the head, unlike on the other bladed tools, appeared to have been deliberately applied to make it look as if it had been in the basement for some time.
If the axe can't be found, don't keep her bound.
However, none of these tools were removed from the house because of the mysterious illness that had stricken the household before the murders. Oh, okay. I never thought about that. They wouldn't have removed any of the crime scene evidence because they didn't want to get infected because they didn't know how diseases work back then. So they thought if they took... Again, this is part of my cover-up conspiracy.
Speculation, yeah.
My cover-up conspiracy that they didn't take the weapons because that gave them more time to clean them, move them away from being used as
could be
in the murders.
Could be.
That's their reason. Oh, everybody in there's sick. Well, who knows what could be in that house? It could be the plague.
Could be herpes.
Could be poor. The family's milk and the victim's stomach, removed during autopsies performed in the Borden dining room, were tested for poison. None was found. Residents suspected Lizzie of purchasing the hydrocyanic acid in a diluted form from the local druggist. Her defense was that she inquired about using the acid to clean her furs, despite the local medical examiner's testimony that it did not have antiseptic properties. What would she need an antiseptic to clean furs with? For?
Wait, so the doctor, the pharmacist, whatever...
The local medical examiner testimony that it didn't have antiseptic properties, this hydrocyanic acid.
Oh, so that's in her favor then?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's in her favor. He's saying that, yeah, they had this acid, but you don't use that to clean.
Yeah, her defense was that she inquired about using the acid to clean her furs, despite the local medical examiner's testimony that it did not have antiseptic properties.
Yeah,
so she's like, oh, I just had it to clean my stuff, even though he told me that it might not work.
Yeah, basically.
Lizzie and Emma's friend Alice Russell decided to stay with the sisters the night following the murders while Morse spent the night in the attic guest room. Contrary to later accounts that he slept in the murder site guest room, police were stationed around the house on the night of August 4th, during which an officer said he had seen Lizzie enter the cellar with Russell, carrying a kerosene lamp and a slop pail. He stated he saw both women exit the cellar, after which Lizzie returned alone, though he was unable to see what she was doing. He stated it appeared she was bent over the sink. On August 5th, Morse left the Borden residence and was mobbed by hundreds of people. Police had to escort him back to the house. The following day, police conducted a more thorough search of the house, inspecting the sisters' clothing and confiscating the broken-handled hatchet head. That evening, a police officer and the mayor visited the house, and Lizzie was informed that she was a suspect in the murder. The next morning, Russell entered the kitchen to find Borden tearing up a dress. She explained that she was planning to put it in the fire because it was covered in paint. It was never determined whether it was the dress that she had been wearing on the day of the murders.
If she burned a dress, don't second guess.
So I guess basically after these murders happen, basically the vibe I'm getting is that the family is trying to help clean this shit up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is like a... Yeah. You were asking, like, when you're talking about, like, yeah, she might not have did it. Yeah, there's a good chance that she may not have done it, but everything that I'm reading, like...
But somebody in her family did.
Somebody did, yeah. It was somebody who was well-connected, or...
Could have been the brother, or the...
Could have been.
Russell.
Or him, the ox guy.
Yeah.
Could have been Oxboy. Somebody, yeah. It was, I believe, someone connected within the family, very close to the family.
Yeah. Again, it's a multi-tiered cover-up.
And typically, like with crimes like that, I'm pretty sure it's a common thing where most crimes that occur, it's somebody that you know.
Yeah.
More times than not. Like, of course, like randoms, encounters happen, but a lot of times there's like a connection somehow.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So let's fast forward to June 5th, 1893, when the trial starts.
Lizzie's trial took place in New Bedford starting on June 5th, 1893. Prosecuting attorneys were Hosea M. Knowlton and future United States Supreme Court Justice William H. Moody. Defending were Andrew V. Jennings, Melvin O. Adams, and former Massachusetts Governor George D. Robinson.
We just don't have names like Melvin O. Adams anymore.
Like that's like you're riding on like a horse and buggy back then, and you look up. It's like it's his law firm. It's like painted on the side of like the brick,
like in gold paint.
Yeah. 5 days before the trial's commencement on June 1st, another axe murder occurred in Fall River.
What the fuck?
Ooh, getting juicy. This time the victim was Bertha Manchester.
What a name.
Right? Who was found hacked to death in her kitchen. The similarities between the Manchester and the Borden murders were striking and noted by jurors. What if this is like some other serial killer that we've never even
I'm telling you, man. It could be something crazy.
Like Lizzie just caught the shade for it.
Yeah. Again, she never got caught, so like you can't fully say that it was her as much as the evidence points to it.
What if there's like some crazy shit where there's like a bunch of like axe murders around like the United States like around the time, and it was like this guy.
Yeah, I'm telling you. The Butcher of Falls River.
Yeah, right. The similarities between the Manchester and Borden murders were striking and noted by jurors. Jose Correa de Mello.
Come on, Nick, you're Spanish. You can pronounce that name.
Jose Correa de Mello.
There you go.
A Portuguese immigrant was later convicted of Manchester's murder in 1894 and was determined not to have been in the vicinity of Fall River at the time of the Borden murders.
Allegedly.
A prominent point of discussion in the trial and the press coverage of it was the hatchet head found in the basement, which was not convincingly demonstrated by the prosecution to be the murder weapon. Prosecutors argued that the killer had removed the handle because it would have been covered in blood. One officer testified that a hatchet handle was found near the hatchet head, but another officer contradicted this. Though no bloody clothing was found at the scene, Russell testified that on August 8, 1892, she had witnessed Lizzie burn a dress in the kitchen stove, saying it had been ruined when she brushed it against wet paint. During the course of the trial, the defense never attempted to challenge this statement.
I'm telling you, cover up.
Somebody was
left and right.
Somebody was like, hey.
Don't you think they could have? Again, that's because they weren't actually looking to find the answer. I don't think. Don't you think they could have went to wherever she allegedly brushed against this wet paint and been like, "Oh, this looks different. This checks out." If she would have brushed against the wet paint, it would be an uneven surface.
Yeah.
It would have had to been repainted over, and it would have been uneven. Like, where did you brush up against this wet paint at, Lizzie? And
yeah, but they didn't challenge it.
Yep.
Why? Because they were paid.
Paid off.
Paid off.
With that sweet allure of that Borden money.
Yeah, the big bucks.
Big Borden bucks.
Lizzie's presence at the home was also a point of dispute during the trial. According to testimony, Sullivan entered the second floor at around 10:58 a.m. and left Lizzie and her father downstairs. Lizzie told several people that at this time she went into the barn and was not in the house for 20 minutes or possibly a half hour. Hyman Lubinsky testified for the defense that he saw Lizzie leaving the barn at 11:03, and Charles Gardner confirmed the time. At 11:10, Lizzie called Sullivan downstairs and told her Andrew had been murdered and ordered her not to enter the room. Instead, Lizzie sent her to get a doctor. Both victims' heads had been removed during autopsy.
Oh, yeah, this part's crazy.
Yeah. And the skulls were admitted as evidence during the trial and presented on June 5th, 1893. Upon seeing them in the courtroom, Lizzie fainted.
So this, I'm going to just cut you off right there, but up to this point, Lizzie, again, going back to what the officer said, they didn't like her attitude about being too calm and poised. Yeah. She allegedly was the same way during the trial. She was just like super chill about the whole thing. Yeah. And then when she seen the skulls, she like went berserk kind of and then fainted. Yeah. And some people speculate that her reaction to the skulls is what actually got her off of the trial, like got her acquitted.
It was okay, like she's been kind of aloof, kind of like, or maybe in shock.
Yeah.
and kind of muted, and then she sees it, and that's just like her breaking point.
Right, exactly.
Just, like, cracks.
So that kind of sets the scales in her favor to getting her acquitted.
Evidence was excluded that she had sought to purchase prussic acid, hydrogen cyanide, purportedly for cleaning a sealskin cloak from the local druggist the day before the murders. The judge ruled that the incident was too remote in time to have any connection. That to me was so bizarre. Yeah, okay, the murder happened yesterday. You bought that the day before. Yeah, no, because it's too close in time, we're going to rule that out.
But it's also at the same token, it's like, if she's going to the drugstore to buy poison to poison her family, wouldn't you have poisoned them instead of just bashing their heads in with a fucking axe? Like, those two things don't have any correlation.
Unless she was trying to throw off like
a smoke screen?
Like a smoke screen or something, like maybe, like, oh yeah, I bought acid, but that's not how they were murdered. They were hacked, I guess. They were hacked to death.
Yeah, I guess.
So like, and like what you're saying is like, okay, and they probably thought the same thing. Okay, yeah, maybe she bought acid, but then if she was planning on poisoning them,
why would she murder them
with an axe kind of thing? Like, what if that was like her defense? Like she still gets acquitted. She gets.
I planned on poisoning them.
I plan on poisoning them. Okay, like I was gonna.
I was there. It was in the milk.
I put it in the roast beef. I put it in the milk, and then the fucking murders happened.
And then next thing I know, their heads they're
gone. And I'm fucking mad because I spent $10. The presiding associate justice, Justin Dewey, who had been appointed by Robinson when he was governor, delivered a lengthy summary that supported the defense as his charge to the jury before it was sent to deliberate on June 20th, 1893. After an hour and a half of deliberation, the jury acquitted Lizzie Borden of the murders. Upon exiting the courthouse, she told reporters she was the happiest woman in the world.
I bet she was, because she inherited that sweet fortune.
Oh, yeah. The trial had been compared to the later trials of Bruno Hauptmann, Ethel and Julius Rosenberg, and O.J. Simpson as a landmark in publicity and public interest in the history of American legal proceedings. If the maid heard no sound, then the guilt can't be found.
Oh, yeah. It's like, I'm loving all your rhymes, man. So that's kind of the long and short end of the trials and all that good stuff. There are some theories going around of who else it could possibly be. Of course, Lizzie Borden's always going to be the first one, just to dive into that a little bit. The writer Victoria Lincoln proposed in 1967 that she might have committed the murders while in a fugue state. Is that what you pronounce it? I just took it as kind of like how our boy Dan Sickles got acquitted for being the first person to successfully testify that he had temporary insanity.
Fugue states they're typically kind of like
is a rare psychiatric condition characterized by reversible amnesia regarding one's identity, often accompanied by unexpected travel or wandering. In some cases, something.
Basically, the Winter Soldier, when he's like Bucky, and then they kind of like say the little rhyme,
like a sleeper cell,
and he just turns into the Winter Soldier, and he has like no memory of basically that.
Yeah. Okay. Another prominent suggestion was that she was physically and sexually abused by her father, which drove her to kill him. There is little evidence to support this, but incest is not a topic that would have been discussed at the time, and the methods for collecting physical evidence would have been quite different in 1892. This belief was intimated in local papers at the time of the murders and was revisited by scholar Marcia Carlyle in a 1992 essay. So, obviously, that's a possibility that she was being abused by her family, and again, her stepmother was not very nice to her and her sister. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's your motive if you need a motive, but again, I think it's all just one big cover-up.
I saw another one where supposedly Lizzie and Sullivan, the Irish maid, were caught in like a sexual tryst.
Ooh,
like somebody walked in on them, and they were like, "Oh shit, we got to cover this up," because
that it was the mom, Abby, had walked by.
Abby walked in on them and like caught them in the act, and she was like, "Oh, okay, if this gets out, it could be pretty bad." So they kind of conspired together to get rid of them. That way, it covered up like their affair. I don't want to say like affair, but their relationship.
Yeah, because she was just to kind of we didn't really touch on it. Lizzie was 32 years old at the time of the murders. Like, she's not like a 16-year-old girl or something. So when you think about a 32-year-old girl in the 1890s, she's at this point almost unmarriable to some extent. True. And some people would speculate that she wasn't married because she was gay.
Yeah, makes sense.
So
That's feasible. Yeah.
Her and the Irish maid getting it on in the upstairs bedroom. Who knows? Could have been a thing. To piggyback off of that, it was speculated that Lizzie had killed Abby with a candlestick. She made a confession to Andrew when he returned home, but killed him in a rage with a hatchet when he reacted exactly as Abby had. Good Lord, that's a sentence. He further speculated that Sullivan disposed of the hatchet somewhere afterwards, so those two being in on it together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In her later years, Lizzie was rumored to be a lesbian, but there was no such speculation about Sullivan, who later married a man she met while working as a maid in Butte, Montana. Butte, not but, Montana. Sullivan died in Butte in 1948. Wow, she lived a long life. Allegedly, she gave a deathbed confession to her sister in which she stated that she had changed her testimony on the stand to protect Lizzie. Of course, the other significant suspect is John Morse, Lizzie's maternal uncle, who rarely met with the family after his sister died, but had slept in the house the night before the murders. According to law enforcement, he had provided an absurdly perfect and overly detailed alibi for the death of Abby Borden.
At approximately 9:48, I walked out the door.
I'll tell you this. Listen here, son. 8:48, I left my house to buy 2 pair of oxen from Gentleman George down the street. At 8:52, the purchase has been completed.
Here's the receipt. You do not believe me.
Signed in gold by Sir George. At approximately 9:52, I had walked back up the street, passing by a lovely petunia bush that I had stopped and admired for approximately 45 seconds.
It's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
You know what? I just don't care.
I'm not done yet.
9:55.
God.
Mind you, this was all a part of a 14-hour day. I love that. I love that he's just like... given such an overly detailed thing that people are just like, oh my God, will you shut the fuck up?
It was like a detective from like Boston, like, fucking Christ.
So you're walking home. All right, we got that far.
Okay.
No, I was not on my way home yet. The other two are William Borden and Emma Borden. William was suspected to be Andrew's illegitimate son. He was noted as a possible suspect by author Arnold Brown, who surmised that William had tried and failed to extort money from his alleged father. Leonard Ribello, after extensive research on William, proved he was not Andrew's son, so you can almost toss him out, it seems like. And Emma had an alibi at Fairhaven, about 15 miles away from Fall River. Crime writer Frank Spearing proposed in his 1984 book Lizzie that she might have secretly visited the residence to kill her parents before returning to Fairhaven in time to receive the telegram informing her of the murders. And Emma was Lizzie's sister. Yeah. So after the murders happened, both of the Borden sisters kind of go their own separate ways. Emma was basically just, I guess, so upset with the whole thing that she kind of disowned Lizzie as a sister. Mm-hmm. And she moved away, but Lizzie moved into the large house in the hill where she started going by the name Lizbeth to avoid any of the, I guess, paparazzi at the time, is that what you want to call it? Mm-hmm. They had a staff that included live-in maids, a housekeeper, and a coachman. Abby was ruled to have died before Andrew. Her estate went first to Andrew, and then at his death passed to his daughters as part of his estate. A considerable settlement, however, was paid to settle claims by Abby's family. Despite the acquittal, Lizzie was ostracized by Fall River Society. Her name was again brought into the public eye when she accused of shoplifting in Providence, Rhode Island in 1897. 1905, shortly after an argument over a party that Lizbeth had given for actress Nance O'Neill, Emma moved out of the house and never saw her sister again. Interestingly enough, though, when they die, Lizzie died June 1st, and her sister Emma died June 8th, I believe. It was only a couple of days. Yeah, it was only a couple of days apart. So after they had not seen each other for however many years, they still ended up dying so close together. At her death, Borden was worth over $250,000, or equivalent to a little over $6 million in today's money. She owned a house on the corner of French Street and Belmont Street, several office buildings, shares in several utilities, 2 cars, and a large amount of jewelry. She left $30,000 to the Fall River Animal Rescue League, $500 in trust for perpetual care of her father's grave. Her closest friend and a cousin each received $6,000, substantial sums at the time of the estate's distribution in 1927, and numerous friends and family members each received between $1,000 and $5,000. So she was not, like her father, frugal. Yeah, she gave that shit away.
Money, yeah. Good on her.
Yeah.
Saw this thing that Bill Gates apparently when he dies, his funds, like all of his money, is being donated to charities.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's how it should be, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure his family would be
causes. I'm
sure his family would be like taking care of.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's generational wealth. I mean, he can leave his kids like $50 billion.
Yeah, he's gonna
and donate the rest to charities. And like,
yep.
It's just crazy. Like when you, not to get too sidetracked off of this, but when you like think about the amount of wealth that some people have, and how it could literally change the entire world by just even the slightest act of donation.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to impact a lot of shit when he like donates it. Like we might see some changes in that.
Yeah. I think I've seen something like Jeff Bezos or somebody could like give every person in the world $100,000 and still have like $2 trillion left over or $2 billion left over. Some shit. Crazy. Anyways, so after her death and subsequent, whatever you want to call it, impact on culture in America, everybody probably knows the folk rhyme. Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks. Once she seen what she had done, she gave her father 41. Even though it was closer to like 18.
Yeah.
18 whacks and 11 whacks.
That's kind of like 41, but
it's a big whack off.
It is just whacking and smacking. He's whacking and smacking and clapping.
And then, of course, the Lizzie Borden house, the original house, is still standing in Fall River, Massachusetts. The entire house, I believe, is still original from when it was in 1892 when the murders happened. Like, they haven't changed a thing.
I'm not surprised.
It is, in fact, a bed and breakfast. You can stay there, and I actually just looked it up. You can go to lizzie-borden.com, which is the official Lizzie Borden House website, to book a room. So I looked it up to see what it was kind of costing. I guess now would be the off season, but I just looked it up. Price for one night in the John Morse room is $375.89. So not terrible. Not, that's a lot of cash for a weekend, but you can also do an overnight basement ghost hunt for $125. I've heard so many people. I was actually listening to a really popular podcast called Morbid. They were recording an episode about the Lizzie Borden house in the Lizzie Borden house, and they were just like, "This is the spookiest thing I've ever fucking done." Yeah. It's like things moving all the time, like apparitions going behind, like through doors and shit.
That's no friend for me.
I would go. I would stay the night.
I'm sure we'd do it. It'd be fine.
We could do it. So speaking of hauntings, like I said at the top of this, the Lizzie Borden house is commonly known as like one of the most haunted houses in America. A woman in a nightgown believed to be Abby Borden is frequently sighted in the Andrew and Abby suite, which is their bedroom. Nothing happened in that room, but you can imagine as much time as they spent in the bedroom, I would guess, some energy still left behind there. Guests have reported hearing footsteps, creaking sounds, and voices. A manager of the Lizzie Borden house reported seeing a shadow figure in the basement as a child, and other guests have reported similar sightings. A wind-up cat toy started playing on its own, and a rocking chair was seen moving by itself. Some guests have also reported feeling a presence, being touched, and having bedsheets pulled on them.
I'm going to take my chances.
Yeah.
I'd do it.
Yeah.
If we ever find our way up in Massachusetts.
I think we should make a point to go at least visit the Lizzie Borden house.
That'd be cool.
While Lizzie Borden herself has been linked to some of the paranormal reports, the house is more often associated with the hauntings of Abby and Andrew Borden. Some guests have reported seeing Lizzie's spirit, while others have described feelings of her presence. It's worth noting that some believe that the house is haunted by the spirits of the entire Borden family. I believe I watched it's on Max, but I think it's also Discovery Plus or whatever, if you still have that. There's a really good documentary. It's called a shock doc, and I think I talked about it a little bit, called The Lizzie Borden Murders. And they kind of take you through the house, give you the history and all that stuff. They do a ghost hunt. And some crazy shit. I mean, of course, it's TV, so you never really know how much you can believe. Sure. But it's like some crazy shit happened while they were investigating. Like, and like a great-great-great-great-great-granddaughter or something like that. A descendant of the Bordens is a tour guide there, or stays there pretty regularly. So you can actually talk to her, and she's claimed that she feels like the presence of her ancestors there. Yeah. So pretty wild.
That's wild.
Lizzie Borden House offers ghost hunts where visitors can explore the house in the dark, searching for paranormal evidence. The house also hosts tours and ghost tours that delve into the history and hauntings of the location. Ghost hunting equipment is provided to participants in ghost hunts.
You think she did it?
Oh, man. Like I said, I kind of joked a little bit about my tinfoil conspiracy hat, but I think that it was a combination of her and her sister going in together on this to pay off the maid and at least some of the police department, the ones that showed up to investigate, quote unquote, first, knowing that they were going to get a huge cash settlement from this bitch.
I wonder if...
And they knew, like, I feel like they had to have known that killing Abby first meant that her estate was going to go to Andrew. Because if they didn't kill her first, that would have been gone. That would have gone to whoever else. Because she died first, her estate went to Andrew, thus making Andrew's estate and Abby's estate together going both to Lizzie and Emma. So I feel like there was some thought put into
premeditated.
Like they knew what would happen.
I wonder if...
And I think it could have been, a little bit of both of, a cover-up, the whole family kind of involved knowing, and then Lizzie being the obvious choice to kind of do it because she's the
oldest one.
Well, she's not her sister was way older than her. Her sister was like 12 years older than her.
Oh, was she? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think she was at the time when you're looking around, like, who's the least suspected person? The church-going, charity-driven, nice girl Lizzie, or, the uncle that just happened to roll into town that weekend kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that it was a multi-tier cover-up. Ultimately, I think Lizzie probably did it, but she didn't do it alone.
Yeah,
like, I feel like she probably killed Abby because she fucking hated that bitch.
There were other actors involved.
But I feel like the brother or somebody came in and killed the dad. So I don't think she was alone. That's my thought.
Yeah. I tend to agree with that. I think it was definitely a cover-up. She had law enforcement, probably, like, maybe even up in the courts, people like on her payroll.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm curious to see if... Remember how when she died, she like various people that she knew or whatever. I wonder if any of them were like descendants of like some of those law enforcement or some of those.
That could have been.
That'd be crazy. Like, why did I just inherit $100,000?
Yeah. Well, I mean, your dad's dad, your grandpa used to be a police officer up there in Falls River.
He murdered somebody. What was that? What was that last part?
Just with wise investments.
His pension.
He invested in Apple.
Yeah.
Not the tech conglomerate, like the fruit.
He had a couple orchards up there.
Yeah, I would definitely like to go visit the Lizzie Borden house. I know our friend Brandon was up there at one point. I'd have to ask him to see if his experiences were anything substantial. Yeah. But yeah, man, definitely a bucket list place. Like, I just want to go and see if I can. I feel like me and you are both, as much as we love this stuff, we're pretty skeptical. We're open to it, but we're like, okay, well, let's look at the facts here. Let's look at the evidence.
Let's question.
Is this really, people are just, seeing what they want to see, audio and visual matrixing or whatever. Yeah, but like, there's so many people that walk in there and just seem like they feel presence there. Yeah. Like it's a temperature change or just a dark entity hanging over their head. I
think some people are more in tune with feeling stuff like that. So I can't. I'm not going to say that they're wrong.
No, absolutely.
You're not experiencing that, but yeah, no, I agree. I'm a little bit more skeptical, but that doesn't mean
that if you see somebody walk through your wall right now, they'd be like, "Oh, there's a reason. There's a reason for that."
Yeah, I mean, just hollow.
Somebody just walking off the street.
Autogram.
But yeah, Lizzie Borden House is definitely a bucket list place for me. So I think we should make that a goal. Like 2026, try to get to the Lizzie Borden House.
I'm going to be busy in 2026.
Okay, 2027. I'm going to be busy then too.
I'm on daddy duty
until 2029.
Yeah. Once
2030. We'll make it a 2030 goal.
2030 goal. I can make it happen. That's a little more reasonable.
Okay, all right. Any closing thoughts on this, Nick?
No, it's a fun episode. Very detailed, I think. It was interesting to kind of recount. I've never dived into
this is kind of our first true crime episode, a little bit.
Yeah, I guess it was.
I don't think we've covered any actual murders.
I love true crime. I can get into some true crime. It's spooky.
I'm hit or miss for it. This is interesting to me because it has the haunting element behind it.
Yeah. Definitely, for sure.
Though we could obviously touch on a lot more of the hauntings and stuff, but really wanted to get the
true crime,
the tragedy that happened.
It is. I mean, it's spooky.
Yeah,
it's spooky.
Definitely
it's
spooky.
Weird. It's got paranormal.
I mean, of course, I don't want we're wrapping this episode up, but people speculated that Lizzie could have been possessed by a demon,
sure,
or the devil to kill her family,
sure,
or her mother and her father. And people claim that they still sense that demon's presence in the house now. So it could be any number of things that could have happened. But I guess we'll never truly know for sure.
Never know.
Until we die, and then we can ask them ourselves.
Yeah. Where do you want to go? I'm going to Massachusetts. For what? I got to ask a question of the Lizzie Borden. Who did it?
No, you don't want to know.
That's what you want to know? 10 billion years of history. That's what you want to know?
Yeah.
Not who built the pyramids.
It's like, it's not who you think. You get there. All right, who did this? Time traveling Ronald Reagan.
No, I swear to God, it's a fucking the Lizzie Borden was sitting in her freaking living room. The fucking vortex opened up. Out walks fucking Ronald Reagan, and fucking laser
with
gun,
the hatchet of justice,
with the fucking hatchet, and just like unwinds. Says, "God bless you all." Just jumped back in the vortex and left.
I'm not shitting you. I just can't make this shit up.
Craziest 30 seconds of my life.
Like headless or bashed in Hall's skull, Andrew and Abby were like, yeah, that's who it was.
Yeah. Like, wow.
I never would have thought Reagan was that kind of guy.
No, I feel so deceived. Like, that was my one question.
But as always, we thank you for listening to this episode of Shadows and Sightings. We appreciate the support, the patience, as we sometimes have things come up. And especially this time of year, it's a crazy time. Summertime is busy for me. Nick's got a bunch of stuff going on with the dad stuff. We're going to continue to try to put out as many episodes as we can. But if we have to take a week off or sometimes, don't hold it against us. We're regular guys. We got lives. We got things to do. We touch grass every now and then. Thanks again for listening to this episode of Shadows and Sightings. You can catch us on Instagram, Shadows and Sightings Pod, Facebook, Shadows and Sightings, a paranormal podcast. You can just hit us up. Let us know how we're doing on this podcast thing. Let us know what your favorite episode is. Give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening to. Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, all of that good stuff. Apple, I think, is a dead fish in a dead sea.
Someday.
Because their fucking tech support is ass.
Someday we'll figure
Fuck you, Apple. Fuck you. Someday we'll be on there, but that's not this day. So, yeah, leave us a 5-star review. Tell your friends about us. We're getting some followers. We're getting some steam. So jump on now while the podcast is still new, and you can tell all the people that you started listening to us first. And you be the cool person in your friend group, like Nick is in our friend group.
I think I'm kind of average.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you all next time when we talk about all things spooky.
Peace.